Hi, Misha here, and with current Colt talk, right as we were getting back from break, I thought I would do a short video trying to outline the facts as we know them as of September 24, 2019. I'm going to try to keep this video factual and keep my opinions to a minimum. However, if you want to hear me rant, I invite you to come over after hours to my personal channel, Misha, and you'll get a blocks video, a little more kind of Misha unplugged and unfiltered, if you know what I mean. So, starting last week, the scuttlebutt around has been that Colt is no longer producing guns for the civilian market. So, just to have something on the table, I've got two guns you've seen of mine a lot, but I really like them. I think these are the two best offerings that Colt has done in the last few years. On the top is their AR15A4, which was really the first military type 20-inch rifle they had done since the 80s. I mean, the SP1 and the Sporter 2, but you know, through the 90s and early 2000s, their rifles were more in their match target competition line. So they didn't have bayonet lugs, government profile barrels, threaded barrels in most cases, yada yada. This is a very close gun to the military, specifically the Marine Corps M16A4. Now when you get them, they come with their movable carry handle, which is pretty cool. It's about the last Colt to do that. And a standard handguard. I put a CAC handguard on mine, and a fake ACOG because blind, and I'm not going to spend $1,000+ for a real one. But Jay's got a real one, so we have one we use. And I put a Maytag rear sight on. But other than that, I've kept it pretty much stock. Same military butt stock. I think it's a great gun, and these things were coming to market anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200 depending on when and where. So a little bit of a premium for the pony, but not a whole lot. And there are plenty of other brands out there, Daniel Defense, LMT, etc., which charge the same or more, and they're pretty much commensurate with FN. Well, that came out, and then the slightly newer one is the LE6920 SOCOM US edition. This came out a year or two back, and is pretty much the ultimate M4 from Colt, and this one comes as you see it. The only things I changed, I took off the A2 flash hider and pinned on a 4-prong Surefire, because a great supporter of the channel sent me one, so why not? But it does come with the side sling mount. It has the M4 profile barrel complete with the cuts under the handguards. It does come with the CAC handguards. It comes with the Maytag rear sight. It does come with one metal mag, which most modern Colts have the mag pulls. And it comes with an H2 buffer and a regular M4 stock. I just put a SOP mod on it. You know the deal. You've seen this in several videos. But these are kind of their best military guns. They've made some missteps. I think that is not even an opinion. I think it's a fact that their retro series was a huge misstep. And also the Colt Expanse, the way they ended up managing it, was a misstep. Good idea, but a misstep. So yeah, the news that they're not going to produce for the civilian market's been widely spread and respread. And then I noticed some local news stations here in Arkansas and elsewhere have kind of conflated that to be no one is producing AR-15s anymore. Like they're not going to make them. And I think this is kind of getting a little bit more traction because of Walmart's recent talk about not carrying modern sporting rifles, MSRs, or ammunition that can fit in high-capacity feeding clips, whatever doofy name they use this week. So I think the Walmart news and then the Colt news, people are pretty upset. And you really can't blame them, except for one thing. This isn't really the story. In a letter dated September 19th, 2019, the president and CEO of Colt, at least he signed it, said that Colt is not discontinuing civilian sales. The letter points out that the MSR market, specifically the AR15 market, has been overly saturated the last couple of years. He's not wrong. And that at the same time, they were just awarded a sizable government contract. Now, keep in mind that doesn't mean U.S. military, that just means government, which means it'll probably go to an overseas client. And since the civilian guns have been selling pretty slow, they're going to focus on this new juicy contract because money, and Colt needs it. And in the letter, they repeat several times that they are pro to amendment and that they are not abandoning the civilian market. That's what they say in the letter. It's a pretty short letter, but in no way, shape, or form do they say they're not making ARs anymore. It seems like there's going to be a manufacturing hiatus, much as Remington has gone on recently. Now, our sales rep has told us that they are projecting 2 to 3 months for this hiatus, which I pretty much interpret to mean they expect to maybe start production back up in 2020. However, that's just making new guns. We've also been told that they have enough parts on hand, lowers, barrels, all that, to assemble enough guns to fulfill existing orders, which are quite substantial. Hundreds of thousands. So these are still coming. They're still going to ship them out the door, as what we're being told by the sales people, due in October. So while the situation is not ideal, it's not near as dire as it seems to be made out. Colt's just making a manufacturing decision that I can't blame them on. And I can tell you firsthand as a dealer, ARs have been dead this year. They were dead last year, they were dead the year before, but at least in years past, the Colts were still selling. With recent talk of them going away from the roll marking to a laser engraving, and no longer shipping guns with C marks on the carriers, and going away from the classic CMP mark on the barrel into the cage code, it's impacted sales. And I think at the same time, people are just kind of tired. They want something new. I've noticed that if I can show them something new, for example, the Bren 2, they're excited, but they aren't really interested in more ARs, be it Colt or otherwise. The thing is, if you want to be upset with Colt, this isn't the reason to get upset with them. They've given us plenty of other reasons. The swapping of parts and no longer making them all in-house, great reason. The ridiculous, overly priced retro guns, which also aren't made in-house, a good reason. Their consistent delays and lack of new offerings and new products is a good reason. Past political and manufacturing moves, sure, why not? Good reasons. Consistent and habitual mismanagement of the company, excellent reason. General lack of understanding of the modern gun market and incompetence, excellent reasons. Guys, if you want to be upset with Colt, you don't need to look very far. You don't need to conflate a story. They've made some poor business decisions. The thing is, this is Colt. Look at their history from the beginning in the mid-19th century. They've never been the most stable and wise company they've gone through ups and downs, and they've never been a huge powerhouse in the R&D department. Yeah, early on with Wheel Guns and Sam Colt, they had something going, but they had the 1911 thanks to John Browning. They had the entire AR15 family thanks to buying it all off of Armalite. They haven't really made anything in a long time. They've just been a manufacturer. So it should be no wonder that they haven't introduced new products. And with the slump in the civilian market, it's not a good time to introduce new products. Those that have been introduced by other companies like Beretta, CZ, IWI, SIG, they have not done very well. They might get good reviews, but the sales have just kind of been lethargic at best. That's why you've seen a lot of guns go on clearance sale. So yeah, Colt's never been the most competent company. Not at all. And speaking of other companies, the Second Amendment, the 2A community, has this habit of turning on a company for a tiny piece of info and then lampooning them for being the worst thing since unsliced bread. Almost every company that's been around for more than 6 months has come under fire. This is not Colt's first time, not even close. Ruger, good grief. Smith & Wesson, whole lot of scuttlebutt in the 90s because of the lawyer locks. Daniel Defense, people didn't like who they hired. Troy, again, they didn't like people that they hired. Springfield, political games, payoffs, things like that. That also folds Rock River into it because of their association. On and on and on. And foreign companies, of course, are not immune as well. H&K, of course, gets a lot of flack, justly or otherwise. And IWI has certainly made some strange decisions lately themselves. It just seems like people have to have someone to villainize at any time. Many customers have said to me, and I tend to agree, that sometimes the Second Amendment community is its own worst enemy, and we tend to eat our own. I try not to do that, but I think we're all guilty to some degree. You can't really blame a company for acting like a company and going where the money's at. That's what they're there for. They're not a Second Amendment charity, none of them. That doesn't excuse poor management, though. If you're going to be a company, at least be a good one. But, you know, I'm going to go into more of my own opinions and some stories, like I said, on my private channel. So if you're interested, you might check that out and go over to Misha. I'll try to put a link in the description. But yeah, I would suggest this. Before panicking, do your own research. Try to find first-hand sources and read them yourself. Don't go just via like a news headline you saw on a website or a 2-minute news article. We know that the news has never really reported gun goings-on very accurately at all. In fact, they're usually just dead nuts wrong. So don't trust the news now. I'm not saying what Colt's doing is right, but, you know, here's the funniest thing. Up until this point, most people said they don't care about Colt. Fair enough. You know, Colt is not the end-all and be-all. Their guns don't have the best fit and finish. I would say they are extremely reliable, but mostly their cachet comes from being Colt. So if that doesn't matter to you, there are plenty of other great brands out there and probably better values for money. But then when something like this happens, the same people get outraged. Okay, if you didn't like or care about Colt to begin with, why do you care what they are or aren't selling? At the same time, why did you drag your feet? Colts have been at historically low prices this year. Why didn't you buy? Why wait till you think you can't get them anymore and then not do research and then just, you know, go out and pay? For those who bought from me, I greatly appreciate your business, and I'm trying to keep my prices fair, but I'm running out. I mean, I basically have no Colts left now either. Luckily, unlike a lot of dealers, I had some in stock. I kind of quit putting them on the shelf and on Gunbroker because they weren't selling, but I just stuck them in the back figuring, they're not hot today, but give it a few weeks or months and people will come around again. Anyway, guys, love to talk about it in the comments, but, trying to keep this more factual and keep the politics out. So, happy to discuss with you. Please disagree with me. That's okay. Let's just have a fun and polite discussion, because at the end of the day, we're all in the same community. We're all in this together. Maybe Colt's forgotten that, but we shouldn't. Just because Colt's behaving stupid doesn't mean we should. So, don't be a Colt. Be polite to your fellow gun owners, but feel free to discuss below. No reason for everyone to agree. It's kind of a boring world if they do. And if you'd like to get more opinionated and a little more free and vocal, check out the private channel. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll be back very soon with more reviews and historical type videos. This is Misha, and we'll